Welcome back, Sebastian here. So we have a new Formula E champion. So let's start from the beginning, shall we? So let's see, where are we? So Cassidy started on pole with Dennis alongside. Obviously, Evans set the fastest time in qualifying, but because of his 5 points grand penalty for the crash with Cassidy in Rome, he actually started in 6th. So Dennis drops down behind Buemi after the start, and then lap 3, where the first attack modes were being taken. So full disclosure, for the first about like 10-15 laps, I was actually watching the F1 sprint at the same time, so I had my two screens open, so I was not really able to focus entirely on one, so I might have missed a couple details. Mortara and Nato look like they drop a couple positions, probably from attack mode. Lap 5, Dennis was putting pressure on Buemi, but Buemi was actually holding up everyone behind because he was leaving space for Cassidy to take his first attack mode without anyone basically anyone overtaking Cassidy. Doing a really great impression of a truly train. Lap 6, Van Doren basically spun around one of the Maseratis. I think it was Gunther, but it could have been Mortara, given all the chaos that happened afterwards. Lap 7, there's contact between Fines, Degrassi, and Sedikama, and they all lose positions. Evans overtakes Dennis for P4, so Evans having exceptional pace that he showed in qualifying, and basically making the penalty kind of redundant. Lap 8, Dennis takes attack mode, but I think failed to arm it properly, so he went through but didn't activate all 3 sections, so he lost quite a few positions there. Let's see. Cassidy then drops down to 3rd. I'm not sure what happened. I think he may have tried to take a second attack mode, but not entirely sure what happened there. Let's see. In lap 9, Evan takes the lead when Buemi takes attack mode. Fines and Jev both pit to retire as well. Lap 10, Dennis overtakes Cassidy, but then they get really, really close to each other in the following laps. Let's see, lap 12, very close between them, really, really close, hard racing between Dennis and Cassidy. Lap 13, Cassidy then repasses Dennis for P4 at turn 4. And then we get, so I think Envision will be really, really kicking themselves for this, but lap 15, Cassidy starts, we just see Cassidy drop down the order. And what happens is turn 3, I believe, turn 2, turn 3, Buemi and Cassidy are going wheel to wheel. For whatever reason, I'm sorry, that's my window, or not, actually, it's my door, but Cassidy and Buemi going wheel to wheel through turns 2 and 3. There's no team orders, and effectively, Buemi just kind of clips Cassidy's front wing, knocking it off. It gets lodged under the car, and he just starts dropping in positions. And so, if I was in that position, I think I would have just told them to swap positions. Cassie's in it for the championship, Buemi isn't. I know it's only a 24-point gap, but you never know what could happen, right? So for them, they really should have done that swap, and it's really an own goal, as the commentators said. So basically, he has to come in for a front wing change, and he comes out well at the back. At the same time, safety car comes out because Cassie's front wing, which has been dislodged, is basically lying in the middle of the track. Cassidy, lap 19, safety car comes in. Muller drops to the back, didn't really see what happened there. Might have been some contact. Lap 20, Buemi comes on the radio. He's basically absolutely distraught about what happened. I think he felt bad. I think he actually said afterwards in the interview that if the team had asked him to switch positions, he would have. So I think it's really on the team why this happened. And I don't really blame Buemi that much because it was a really, really innocuous tap. It was very, very little contact and it didn't look malicious at all. Dennis then misses his attack mode for what seems like the 3rd straight time. And he basically is very lucky that he isn't dropping positions though. Lap 22 though, he finally gets his first attack mode, but drops down. But at this point, he's dropped to 5th. Buemi is best on energy at this point, and DaCosta has slight contact with the wall, but he's running very, very well after qualifying 17th. Lap 23, Cassidy DNFs, he comes into the pits to retire, so really unfortunate for him. At this point, his championship looks like it's over. Lap 24, Bearline misses his attack mode, and lap 26, it looked like Takedom was missing his front wing. Lap 28, Dennis and Bearline are very, very close through sector 1, but no contact there. Lap 20, same lap, Dennis takes his second attack mode and he drops down to 6. And this is where they start talking about the championship permutations. So Evans is actually, at this point in the live championship standings, Evans has actually leapfrogged Cassidy. So now technically, what Dennis has to worry about is Evans' position. And they said that if Dennis gets up to 3rd, he will be champion this race. Of course, there's another race tomorrow, so it doesn't mean that Dennis wouldn't be a champion if he didn't finish 3rd, but it's always nice to get that wrapped up a race early. So let's see, where are we? So right after Dennis takes his second attack mode, lap 29, Dennis crashes in the barrier. He basically climbed over the back, probably slightly outbraked himself, basically climbed over the back of the car in front of him. I'm not sure which car it was blue, so probably one of the Maseratis, or possibly one of the apt cars, and basically goes really heavy into the barrier after that hairpin. And he does quite a bit of damage to the Tech Pro barrier. So because the Tech Pro barrier was going to take so long to repair, Scott Elkin, the race director, actually calls for a red flag because they want to finish the race under green flag racing and not finish under a safety car. Let's see, what else? Oh yeah, and then right before that happened, Verline basically dropped to the back, dropped to 13th because he was hit by Rast. So another thing that happened right almost instantaneously there. Lap 31, no additional laps. So that was under the safety car. Then they did quite a few laps under the safety car before deciding to call the red flag. Buemi and Evans, though, they noted that both had attack mode. So this was after quite a notable delay. But Buemi and Evans both had an attack mode to take, so that means that they were going to be at a slight disadvantage on the restart. Rast had to drop down to the back because of repairs to his car after the contact with Verline. Lap 34, we get racing again. Buemi was very, very slow after taking attack mode. I'm not really sure what happened, but basically they carry on for almost a full lap like this with Buemi going very, very slowly. So basically the 3 leaders, Evans, DaCosta, and Dennis, have basically drove off into the distance, and Buemi is basically holding everyone up in a crazy train. Nato then decides to go for a move at turn 19 right before they go into the indoor part of the track. They basically make contact. I think it was a bit of 50-50 move. I don't think either driver was predominantly to blame, but basically they both go into the barrier. Bird basically makes contact with them as well, and there's basically this massive pile up because the whole track is blocked with cars basically crunched nose to tail everywhere. So then we get our second red flag of the race, and basically everyone was stopped at turn 19, and basically the only 3 cars, the 3 cars I mentioned, were the ones that got through. So then basically after another red flag period where they had to sort all of that out, they basically made all the cars except the top 3 go out while it was a red flag so that they could use the energy they needed so that everyone would be on roughly the same energy after the red flag period. After the red flag comes out, we get the rolling start, and we basically get the rolling start with 4 cars or so missing their front wing, because basically if they changed their front wing, they were told that they had to go to the back. I believe, I'm not really sure, it was quite confusing what the actual rules were. But lap 35, we got 3 laps of flat out racing. Lap 36, DaCosta looks like he has a half look in the final corner to overtake Evans. And then it was announced that DaCosta had a 3-minute penalty. 3 minutes, that's going to be almost a 3-lap penalty for technical infringement. And it seemed like it was a tire pressure issue. But anyway, DaCosta, who was P2, his race was basically done. Evans takes the checkered flag. Dennis finishes second and becomes Formula E world champion. So absolutely amazing result for Dennis. Obviously, he's going to be elated to win the Formula E World Championship, and I think I'll probably be doing a special video about that at some point, looking at Dennis's great season, including 10 podiums through 15 races. And 4 of those races that he didn't get a podium were the ones where that stretch after the first 3 races where he basically had no points. So absolutely amazing consistency and speed from Dennis. So that's all for the London ePrix round 1. Let's go for a look at the results. So first was Evans, Dennis, and then Buemi rounded out the podium. Actually, I'm just going to adjust myself there. Nato somehow finished 4th after all that. And then we have Bird, Seti Kamara, great result for him. Mortara, Degrassi, Tictum, and Rast. Rounding out the points finishers, and then we have Verline, Hughes, Van Dorn, Lauderer, Mary, Gunther, and Acosta, who of course finished last with his 3-minute penalty. Our retirements are Mueller, Fries, Fenestraz, Jev, and Cassidy. In the championship, of course, Jake Dennis is now crowned Formula E championship champion, 213 points. Evans is, however, moved up to second, 179 points, 8 clear of Cassidy on 171. Verline still in fourth with 146, Jev with 107, Gunther with 101. Buemi moves up with 93, and Costa moves down on 93 points. Bird is 8th with 87, 10th is Nada with 59, 11th is Van Dorn with 46, tied with Hughes, who's also on 46. Of course, a bit tired. 13th is Ras with 41, 14th is Mortara with 35, 15th Fenestras with 32, 16th Degrassi with 28, Lauderer on 17 with 23, Seti Kammer in 18th also on 23, Ticknam 19th with 22, 20th is Mueller with 11, 21st is Roland with 9, 22nd is French with 6, then Mary, Vanderlinder, and Beckman, of course, all on 0 points. So that's all for round 1, or I guess race 1 from the London ePrix. I'll be back tomorrow with my review for race 2, and of course I'll be back in a couple days for my final Formula E Power Rankings for Season 9. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.